My dearest Nora, today has been a good day. I might even wager to say a great day. But every story has a prologue, so I should start you there. We woke up this morning, met a new fella, Enrico. He's an artificer. But that's not the interesting part, because he only has 3 moons, thankfully. After meeting him, we decided it was time to make our way back to Vallaki. And on the road, we saw that Rictavio's tower was on fire. And of course, we had to help the man. When we got there, we found it was under siege by zombies. We made quick work of them to be able to get inside. Once inside, though, things got interesting, as you had to think in circles. And there was a console there, and I was able to go up and activate the console to activate the tower's defense system, which thankfully kept all the zombies at bay. But that's still not the interesting part. Now, as we went upstairs, a couple other things happened. We dealt with a Nosferatu of sorts. Still not that interesting. When we got to the rooftop, we saw that Rictavio was holding off a small horde of zombies with his repeating crossbow. So he turned to us and asked for a clip. I knew exactly what he was talking about, but I wanted to wait to see what Enrico did. He did not step up. But Gilliman did. Gilliman ran over to what he assumed was a clip. He was wrong, it was a grenade. And he grabbed it and threw it towards Rictavio, which Rictavio quickly caught and threw over the edge as it exploded. And then Adelgrim tried to help out by grabbing a bushel of arrows and throwing it in Rictavio's general direction. Of course, Rictavio jumped out of the way as, again, still not a clip. So then I calmly walked over to the table, grabbed a clip, threw it at him. He slapped it in his repeating crossbow, took out the rest of the zombies. Just wait, because that's not the interesting part. And then after that, he went on his artificer's armband, and after a couple button presses, activated what could best be described as an EMP. It emanated from the center of the tower, took out all the zombies. Unfortunately, it also took out the tower's power as well, so it was all belly up on that one. And then he sat down with us. We had a conversation with him. We informed him that we had recently discovered that Vasily von Holtz was Strahd, at which point he informed us that Strahd, or Vasily, had come to visit him in his own tower, asking him questions about how we knew the name Tatiana, because Strahd incorrectly assumed that we had gotten the name from Rictavio. Of course, we had not. That came from the book. But that does present an interesting opportunity here, as Strahd is the land. But for once, Strahd does not know everything going on in his land. So we might have a way to get into Castle Ravenloft, but honestly, that's still not the interesting part here. I could care less, because once we had finished discussing with him, he packed up his dragon shards and whatever else he could find, and we hit the road to Vallaki, as he decided to come with us with nowhere else to go. A couple things happened along the road. We fought some wolves. I think we found a foot. I think we found a hanging trap. But honestly, at that point, I could care less what happened in between, because this is the interesting part here, Noah. As we're walking to Vallaki, Rictavio slows up a bit, pulls me aside with him, and we begin to have a conversation, away from the party at least. And apparently, I had been showing far more on my hand than I realized. He started by asking me how I was able to activate the tower's defense system. And I lied to him. I told him I could comprehend languages, because that was far less confusing than the real answer. And then things got even more interesting. And when I asked him how he was able to read the tower, you know what he said? He said that was his native tongue. Interesting, isn't it? Because what he said next was far more interesting. He's from Fairhaven, Nora. What are the chances of that? He knows the tower's lightning. He knows the wonder. So many worlds apart. He told me he was originally from 894, which is very interesting, because that's before the cogs, before the wall. And then he told me something I never thought I'd hear. A story I partly hoped was buried, and a story I partly hoped wasn't. He told me his last year there was 994. Interesting, isn't it? And he said that year, when the wall of screaming faces came, which for my best guess is probably related to the distant whispers, the soul cage, a couple other things, but that's not the important part. Because he said when the wall of faces came, a portal opened up, and he found himself in the domains of dread. And then he had the assumption to ask me where I ended up. And how do you explain you had seen the towers and ended up in some godforsaken place called Faerun? And then, this is the part I've been dying to tell you. Oh, this is the most interesting part. When everything went to the dragon below in our world, and the skies opened up, the portal that brought him here, you know what they called that? You're not gonna believe it. They called it the Bloody Morning, they did, Nora. Can you bloody believe it? They called it the morning. What are the fucking chances? Huh. I'm gonna have to tell him a story when we get to the tavern, because he and I are about to have a conversation. And I have rehearsed this story for many years, and you know it well. But I think he has far more questions than I ever intended. I hope to see you again soon, Nora. Please keep an eye on Kira from your high above. Your dearest love, Malcolm Morning.